Here's something the internet doesn't want to tell you. You can follow the 777 rule perfectly and still feel lonely in your relationship because intimacy isn't created by scheduling more dates. It's created when your nervous system feels emotionally safe with your partner. The 777 rule is everywhere right now. It says every 7 days go on a date, every 7 weeks spend a night away, and every 7 months take a trip together. And as a therapist who works with parents every day, I actually agree with one thing. If you don't schedule your relationship, parenting will erase it. And what I mean by that is this: parenthood is not neutral to your relationship. It doesn't just add love, it adds pressure, fatigue, identity loss, and constant interruption. So when a baby arrives, your brain and nervous system reorganize around survival, feeding, sleep, safety, logistics, and keeping small humans alive. So from a neuroscience perspective, that means your brain shifts into task mode and threat monitoring. Your attention goes outward and your body stays alert. Your nervous system doesn't get to rest. And here's the part that no one warns couples about. The part of your brain that feels playful, curious, romantic, and sexually alive only comes online when you feel safe and unhurried. So without structure, what happens? A relationship gets squeezed into the cracks between homework, laundry, emails, dishes, bedtime, waking up at night. You don't stop loving each other. You just stop needing each other. And this is where so many couples quietly start drifting. Not because they don't care, but because their entire lives become about serving everyone else. And so when I encourage couples to schedule time together, I'm not being rigid. I'm being realistic about how parenting actually works. Structure is not unromantic. Structure is what protects your relationship from disappearing under exhaustion. But, and this is the part the 777 rule misses, structure without emotional connection just becomes another task. And that's why I teach couples to schedule both time and emotional attunement. Because love doesn't die when people stop trying. It dies when they stop being seen. But here's what breaks my heart in my therapy office. Couples will sit across from me and say something like, when we finally get away, it's amazing. We laugh, we feel like ourselves again, we remember why we fell in love. But at home, we just can't stop fighting. And that tells me something very specific as a therapist. They don't have a relationship problem. They have a nervous system and load problem. Because when they're away, the kids are handled, the laundry isn't staring at them, the mental checklist finally shuts off, and no one is being needed every second. Their bodies can relax. And when the body relaxes, connection comes back online. And when they go home, the same partner is still carrying the schedules, the school emails, the pediatrician, the emotional temperature of the house, the grocery list, the remembering, and the other partner often has no idea how heavy that is. So what happens is this: one partner lives in chronic overwhelm and the other lives in confusion about why their love isn't landing. And that's not incompatibility, that's unequal emotional labor. And no amount of date nights can fix a system that feels unsafe and unfair. Because intimacy requires two nervous systems that feel that I'm not alone here and I'm supported and I don't have to hold everything. And until that's true, every trip just becomes a temporary break from a life that still feels too heavy. So that's what I mean when I say they don't have a date problem. They have a safety and load problem. So let me tell you about a couple. I'll call them Sarah and Mike. And they did everything right. They had a monthly night away. They booked trips. They tried. But Sarah was drowning and she carried the kids, the schedules, the planning, the remembering, the emotional weight of the family. And so for Sarah, every day felt like one more thing I have to make happen. And she wasn't just thinking about the dinner. She was thinking about the babysitter, the bedtime, the next school morning, the pumping, the laundry, the emails, the packing, the emotional fallout. And Mike would say, but I took you out. And Sarah would think, but I carried us there. And Mike genuinely believed he was being romantic and he was excited and he was looking forward to connecting. But Sarah's nervous system wasn't experiencing romance, it was experiencing responsibility. And this is a part that no one teaches couples. Desire doesn't live in the same place as duty. When you feel like the manager of the family, your body is in command mode. And command mode is about tracking, anticipating, preventing collapse. And that part of your brain is not the part that feels playful, open, or erotic. So when I say you can't feel desire towards someone you feel responsible for, I mean this literally in a neurobiological way. And when one partner becomes the project manager of the household and the relationship, their nervous system shifts into caretaker mode. And caretakers don't experience their partners as equals, and they experience them as dependent. You can love someone deeply and still feel turned off by them. Not because something's wrong with you, but because your body does not feel supported. And that's why so many parents feel broken. Like, I used to want you, but now I don't. And they didn't lose desire, they lost relief. And desire only comes back when responsibility is shared. So when one partner carries more mental load, their nervous system stays in threat mode. And when you're in threat, you can't relax, you can't open, you can't feel erotic, you can't feel safe. Gottman's research shows that emotional responsiveness, not time, predicts relationship stability. And I'm talking about something very specific. So in decades of research, John Gottman found that what keeps couples together is not how often they go out and have sex or take trips. It's how partners respond to each other's emotional bid. The tiny moments where one person reaches for the other. A bid sounds like, "Did you see that? I'm tired. This day was hard. Come sit with me." So Gottman found that couples who stay together turn towards these bids about 86% of the time. And couples who eventually divorce turn toward them only about 33% of the time. So that means that love is built in the kitchen and not the restaurant. Then attachment science adds a whole nother layer. Our brains are wired to ask one core question in relationships. Are you there for me when I need you? Not, do you take me on dates? Not, do we go on trips? But, do you notice me? Do you respond to me? Do I matter to you? That's what creates bonding. And here's where the 7-7-7 rule goes wrong. You can spend 7 days, 7 weeks, and 7 months together and still feel emotionally alone if your partner doesn't notice you, respond to you, or support you in daily life. Dates can be beautiful, but they don't repair attachment injuries. So daily attunement does. It's the moment your partner says, "I see you, I know you're tired, I've got this." That's what calms the nervous system. That's what allows closeness and desire to come back. Not just time together, but being emotionally met inside that time. So let's talk about what the 7-7-7 rule actually means in order to work. Number one, you must feel emotionally safe first. Dates don't heal relationships, they actually expose them. When couples sit across from each other without kids, phones, or distractions, whatever has been pushed down finally comes up. And that's why some people dread date night. They don't dread time together. They dread what they're carrying inside. So before you go out, I want couples to pause and ask, do I feel emotionally held by you right now? Not, do we have a reservation? But do I feel like you see me? Do I feel like you care about how I'm actually doing? Because if you don't feel emotionally safe, a date doesn't feel romantic, it feels exposing, and your nervous system will stay guarded the whole time. And number two, who carries the date matters. So take turns. If one partner always finds the babysitter, checks the calendar, packs the diaper bag, manages the bedtime, and thinks 3 steps ahead, then even the most beautiful date will feel like work. And the work is not romantic. So that's why I teach couples to take turns carrying the relationship. 1 week, one partner owns the whole thing, the sitter, the plan, the timing, the logistics, and the next week, the other partner does. It's not helping, not checking in, owning it. Because when responsibility rotates, something powerful happens. No one becomes a manager, no one becomes a dependent. Both partners get to feel chosen. And this is also why I often recommend something very specific to parents: a standing weekly babysitter, the same day, the same time, every week. Not because you'll always go out, but because it removes that emotional labor of making it possible. You don't have to ask. You don't have to negotiate. You don't have to scramble. So your nervous system knows this time is protected. And when the time is protected, connection becomes possible again. And number 3, reduce the friction so connection doesn't require heroics. Most parents don't avoid dates because they don't care. They avoid them because the logistics feel overwhelming. So by the time you've texted sitters and checked schedules and packed bags and planned dinner and managed bedtime and handled all the emotional fallout, your nervous system is already exhausted. So I teach couples to reduce the friction before they try to increase the romance. That's the other reason I often recommend the standing babysitter or the reoccurring predictable routines. Because when couples know that every Thursday at 6 we have coverage, their bodies relax. There's no scrambling. There's no last minute resentment. There's no emotional labor spiral. The predictability creates safety, and safety allows connection. And number 4, use your time together to actually feel like partners again. A lot of couples go on dates and technically spend time together, but emotionally they're still alone. They sit across from each other and talk about the kids, the schedules, the logistics, or maybe even nothing at all because they're tired. What actually rebuilds connection is when both partners feel like they're on the same team again. And that means using some of that protected time to ask things like, how are we doing lately? Where do you feel supported? Where do you feel alone? Not in a heavy confrontational way, but in a curious, caring way. Because feeling like partners isn't about being entertained, it's about being emotionally aligned. And number 5, if the load is lopsided, no amount of dating will fix it. And this is the piece most relationship advice leaves out. If one partner is carrying most of the planning, remembering, organizing, emotional labor, and relationship work, then even a beautiful date night will quietly reinforce the imbalance. So one person gets to relax and the other never fully does. That's why the 777 rule can actually make resentment worse if the load isn't shared. And this is exactly why I created All the Things Organizer, not as a cute worksheet, but as a way for couples to finally see what's being carried and redistribute it. Because intimacy doesn't come from more time together. It comes from feeling like you're not alone inside. It comes from feeling like you're not alone inside the relationship. The real version of the 777 rule isn't about hotels and trips. It's about whether your partner feels, I matter here. In the next video, I'm gonna show you how to rebalance the mental load with your partner, that invisible weight that quietly destroys intimacy. So click here and keep watching. Remember, you don't have to do this alone, and I'll see you next.